And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather Show. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We've got some major space weather on the way. We'll talk all about it here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. This is the past 24 hours from SDO. And we'll have kind of spotty coverage here. We'll have all kinds of different imagery of the closest star, as you may have come to expect from the channel. First thing we'll show is the colorized magnetogram plus SDO 171 angstroms. And yeah, there were some issues with downloading data today. So for whatever reason, probably a lot of demand. Here we've got three different wavelengths to show you. That's 211, 304, and 171 angstroms from Solar Dynamics Observatory. And what else do we have? How about a little bit of 171? And let's get a little closer. Now, many of you may be watching the channel because you realize that there is a major coronal mass ejection on the way. It could actually cause some issues with the U.S. power grid because we are expecting an impact sometime in the late morning tomorrow on December 1st. So that's always interesting, right? Now, keep in mind there's not as much strain in the power grid in the late autumn as there is in the summertime. So Southern Hemisphere will actually get the strongest hits when the CME does arrive. And of course, the actual effects of the CME will be determined by things like the magnetic field orientation and the strength of the magnetic field and particle density and particle speed. So before we move on here, let's take a look at, there is the sunspot situation at the moment. We do have some evolution happening once again of Sunspot 3500. It's been one of the most interesting sunspots of the solar cycle, 25. And besides that, a little bit of rapid evaporation happening up here in the northwest. This small sunspot in the north central region has remained largely stable. Besides that, not a lot of changes, but some major active regions setting in the west. There's colorized magnetogram that depicts that's November 29th and November 30th to date. So that's what's going on from the closest star. And if you enjoy the content, please take a moment to press the like button. If you prefer to see these videos remain publicly visible and free for all to view, then become a member of the Smash team. Go visit our links, like smashomash.com, launched back in February of 2019. We saw the writing on the wall way back then and realized we needed our own .com. So visit us on social media, etc. Press like, share, subscribe. Visit our links. You can find all kinds of links in the description. The following are paid promotions. First of all is L-lysine. If you're not familiar with amino acids, maybe check it out. If you're interested in things like nutrition, consider the essential amino acid L-lysine. You can buy it from our Amazon shop. It's amazon.com/shop/smashomash. Go pick up some stuff over there. All kinds of different selections over at the Amazon shop. Amazon.com/shop/smashomash. Amino acids make great Christmas gifts. And you can look up all the different health effects from L-lysine. Today's featured merch item is, gotta have it. It's advanced trolling. It's the Croissant Earth Society, folks. Croissant Earth Society. So, when will you stop believing, quote, NASA's lies, end quote? Don't you know that Earth is croissant-shaped? I mean, what kind of a delusional reality are you living in? People think Earth is shaped like a pizza, with Antarctica being the crust. People think Earth is an oblate spheroid. Regular viewers of our channel are well aware that Earth is shaped like the French breakfast pastry. Save massively, up to 60% off some merch items on the merch shop. Smashomash.com contains links. Also, this video description contains links to the Croissant Earth Society. You can find it at redbubble.com. Save a boatload on your interesting Christmas gifts, and please inform your friends. Please stop believing NASA's lies, and realize that Earth is shaped like a croissant, not an oblate spheroid. Next, our Hemp Lucid shop. You can find all kinds of products over there as well. hemplucid.com. Save 10% by entering the promo code SMASHOMASH10. Yes, the promo code SMASHOMASH10 will save you as many percent. There are the THC-free products, also Delta-8s and CBD for your pets, and body balms and lip balms and mushroom gummies and immune and stress and sleep stacks and all kinds of things. Save a boatload. They make great gifts as well. hemplucid.com. Use the promo code SMASHOMASH to save 10% on checkout. Promo code SMASHOMASH10 will save you 10%. Last but not least, don't forget to visit the homepage, smashomash.com, and welcome to the Neo Renaissance. We launched that back in February of 2019. We launched our official subscription services site back in October of 2021, which is smashomash.com/smash team. Get additional content, email alerts, and lots more at the bronze, the silver, and the gold level. Smashomash.com/smash team, the official subscription services site of the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. I got to shift to the right here, folks. There we go. That's a little better. What's going on? I'm stepping on Fauci's face. And let's move on to volcanoes. It looks like Reykjanes is not seeing any eruptions as of yet. So here's your volcano update, folks. Starting out with volcanodiscovery.com's Volcanoes of the Day. Here's the list. Etna's erupting on Sicily. Strombolian activity as lava fountaining occurs there. Bright fluidal lava bombs spatter have been ejected. Don't get hit by one of those. Bagana is also exploding. 7,000-foot ash plume over Bougainville Island. Mount Ibu exploding. 7,000-foot ash plume over Halmahera, Indonesia. Luatolo. 6,000-foot ash plume there over Lesser Sunda Islands. Semeru exploding, flight level 140. Dakono exploding, flight level 100. 10,000-foot ash plume over Halmahera, Indonesia. Popocatépetl volcanic emissions observed there in central Mexico. Sancho Guido in Guatemala. No emissions shown there. Fuego exploding, flight level 190. Sangay, no volcanic ash observed. Don't assume it's not erupting and decide to pole vault the caldera. That could be unfortunate. Revenador has dispersed its ash over Ecuador, and Sabancaya puff emissions there over Peru. And let's get to earthquakes, because we want to know what's going on. So there are the past 90 days, and earthquake activity has been pretty quiet here for the past 2 days. These are the quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude. Just keep in mind, folks, any earthquake can be a foreshock. Any earthquake, even a large one, can be a foreshock. And the 24-hour list starts out with the South Sandwich Islands. That 5.8 occurred at 7:54 this morning on November 30th. That 5.8 magnitude quake was at nearly 100 kilometers estimated depth. Halmahera, Indonesia had a 5.0 at 12:03. The Aleutians had a 5.0. That was at 16:33 Universal Time this afternoon. And let's get back to space, since there is indeed plenty of additional stuff to cover. So the 10.7 centimeter radio flux is now at, I don't remember what it's at, so you'll find out when I do. It's currently at 167 solar flux units, so we've seen a pretty significant decrease in the radio flux here, despite not a major downtick in the sunspot number. So radio flux now needs updating at solon.info. Here it is at 167. 167 is the current 10.7 centimeter radio flux. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here. You can see major geomagnetic storm expected to arrive early in the day tomorrow. So it looks like it was a little bit faster speed than initially forecasted. So CME effects to start tonight, really at any moment. And we may be seeing some stuff happening right now. We'll see what happens here. Give us a minute. We'll get to the real-time solar wind. That's the current forecast from NOAA. Some KP7 in the forecast from NOAA. So that's pretty consistent with mine. If I had to guess, I would say maximum of 7.33. Don't be surprised to see as high as an 8+ KP index, a G4 level geomagnetic storm. I don't expect to see it get higher than 8.33. So that's the forecast. My forecast versus NOAA. And here's NOAA's Enlil spiral. So 3 different events here, 2 of them arriving around the same period of time according to their model. And then a 3rd event sometime early in the day on December 2nd. So 3 CMEs headed in. Here's NASA's Enlil spiral, and it's a little bit less evolved. I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, there it is. There's NASA's forecast, NASA's Enlil spiral. And let's move on to Earth's magnetic moment from space. These are the wait a minute. These are the past 4 hours. And we have geomagnetically calm conditions last I checked. Unless something's changed since I did show prep, things should still be calm. So here are the last about an hour and a half there. That depicts magnetohydrodynamic pressure to about 12 Earth diameters. A little variation happening there. Might be one of the first waves coming in. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground for the past 4 hours. And let me just show you what to do when things start to get serious tomorrow. So tomorrow when the CME impact shows up, one thing you can do is head to the Space Weather Prediction Center. And if you see that Space Weather Prediction Center, if you scroll down to the bottom and you click on the geoelectric field models for US and Canada, that will give you a great indication of how much electricity is being induced into the magnetic field. Or not into the magnetic field, into the actual power grid. So here's the current situation. And when I say current, no pun intended. So there is actual induction in the grid, an empirical measurement. You can use that to figure out if maybe you ought to shut off your breaker to take some strain off of the grid. Of course, this is a reason to have self-sustaining systems, folks. We do indeed encourage people to be self-sufficient when possible. That's Earth's geomagnetic field, geoelectric field actually, induction into the power grid in millivolts per kilometer. So it's actually showing the voltage So that might become relevant overnight and indeed into tomorrow night. So exciting times for space weather. The planetary K-index, an average of global geomagnetism, is at 1.33. KP 1.33 is the current situation. From this space weather station, the Smash News Network least busted name. In news, and let's move to the real-time solar wind. There you go. Ta-da! So there's the ACE. We're expecting a significant signal there when the CMEs start to arrive. Again, 3 of them on the way. Here's the Discover. Current conditions from the Discover are about 3.5 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. Solar wind velocity here still under 500 kilometers per second. This could be one of the CME impacts, actually. If that's one of them, it's definitely a glancing blow, and it's quite weak. So that could be one CME impact right there. If so, that's largely a miss, and that does seem consistent with what we've been forecasting. See our previous daily space weather videos if you haven't. GOES magnetometers there. Still smooth. Expect to see those looking all over the place. Some irregular sawtooth patterns coming in the next couple of days for the GOES magnetometers. Next, our top view ecliptic plane field plot, which is just spectacular. There is the heliospheric magnetism. Earth is in a South Pole sector here at the moment, shown in red. North Pole sectors are shown in green. And let's show some more spectacular detail from the National Solar Observatory. There is the line of sight field plot. Solar B field in blue. Photospheric magnetism in grayscale. Polar fields in red and green, respectively, for south and north. Moving on to our ecliptic plane field plot. There you go. Line of sight. Earth is right in the middle of a South Pole-oriented sector. And before we get to coronal holes, don't forget to press the like button. If you're a fan of the channel, press the like button. If you enjoy the content, press like. If you're new, press the subscribe button. If you're mad, leave a comment. Leave your rage comments. We enjoy your rage comments. We're not just posting to get you mad, but if you're in a cult, remember that our favorite part of any cult story is the part where it evaporates. So press the like button. The video cannot continue until you do so. So just press like. If you've already done that, press share. If you've already done that, press comment. And remember, folks, we're free speech purists, so don't make a fool of yourself in the comments because they won't be deleted. You won't be muted, but you might be berated. The dangers of free speech, folks. Next, if you want to ask a particle physicist a question, you can do so on our forum, smashomash.com/forum. Anyway, that's what it looks like. And if you go to the General Science Forum, you might find an Ask a Particle Physicist segment. That's one of our threads. It's pinned to the General Science Forum. So if you want to ask a particle physicist a question, then we've got one in mind. And we're in the neutral zone right now. It's Thursday. This is the time when the cake is cooking. The cookies are currently in the oven, folks. So, yeah, ask a particle physicist a question, and we'll get an answer. We've got one coming tomorrow in our weekly news segment coming on Fridays. Next, our line of sight coronal hole plot. And coronal holes are super important, folks. They show us the solar polar field reversal process as they happen throughout the solar cycle. And let's switch to the SDO. So here come coronal holes and some fine detail. Once again, this is yesterday plus today, so that's November 20th and November 30th. November 29th and November 30th to date. So there are the timestamps for you. Well-defined coronal hole here rotating in, and expect coronal hole activity to continue for the next year. We've had a bit of a shortage of coronal holes, especially the trans-equatorial geo-effective type, throughout solar cycle 25. So uptick coming, and expect it to continue. And before we get to sunspots, let's take a look at some data. So sunspot number is now currently at about 159. 158, 159, something like that. A little under 160, well over the current average. Here is a flare probability monitor and scoreboard, and once again, sunspot 3500 is remaining likely to produce large flares. However, this whole area, just like on yesterday's video, the whole western limb has a significant probability of large solar flares. So don't be surprised to see an M or even an X-class flare over there west of the solar meridian. Is there a solar prime meridian? I don't know. But anyway, here are sunspots from SDO for that same period. November 29th and November 30th to date. So the Browse Data feature is just fantastic. You can use it yourself if you like. The Browse Data feature on the Solar Dynamics Observatory homepage. You can put in the dates you'd like to view. There's the SDO continuum for a little under 48 hours. Continuing right along, let's look at energetic particles. We ain't got none. Energetic particles are chillin'. So no relativistic particles there showing up in the GOES proton flux. X-ray activity has been pretty minor. We have seen an uptick here in the past few hours. But overall, somewhat of a downtick. So X-ray flux down over the past week, and X-ray flux up over the past couple of hours there. So perhaps something is about to pop off. Let's take a look at 94 angstroms from SDO. Once again, it's November 29th and November 30th to date. And once again, this is the area to expect to see large solar flares. Those are the magnetically complex regions. And let's continue on here. We don't want the video to be too lengthy. Let's get to a star chart. So that is what's going on overhead, folks. And, of course, we're located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. So there you go. There's the latest. We've got a couple of gas giants up there. We've got Deneb up there not too far from our zenith. The constellation Cygnus is high in the sky over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Here is our solar system forecast. We've got a gibbous waning moon right now. We'll advance this 1 week. And in 7 days, we'll have a crescent waning moon. That'll be December 7th. And check out the astronomy photo of the day. It's pretty sweet. So this is Artemis 1. And, of course, a lot of flat earthers will ask you for images of the Earth from space. And here's one of the many series of images. Of course, now this is much closer to the moon than to Earth, because you'll see the relative size. And there is that blue marble. So there are some photographs from space. Oh, look, 2 spherical objects. It's all NASA CGI, folks, trying to convince you that Earth is not shaped like a croissant. The astronomy photo of the day, again, it's Artemis 1 mission, taken from about 430,000 kilometers from Earth. apod.nasa.gov if you want to check it out on your own. Next, coronal mass ejections. The corona, the sun's atmosphere. The mass, the protons in the atmosphere. The ejection, sometimes they blast off, defying gravity. Let's show some, since we've got 3 about to strike Earth. So there are yesterday's CMEs. Watch yesterday's video if you want to see yesterday's space weather forecast. We're not going to go back because this is today's space weather forecast. Here are an additional 94 frames from today. And things have been pretty calm, actually, as far as coronal mass ejection activity today. So a little bit of activity there. Let's see what's going on from the C3 as well. 2 different coronagraphs there on the SOHO spacecraft. Let's look a little closer. Quite calm, actually. Quite calm over the past 24 hours. So we bring this back. No major CMEs since yesterday's video. We'll also show stereo A. That's where it's located. Let's just manually scan through here real quick. Difference imagery first. Just minor CME activity here since yesterday's video. So nothing major, hence the term minor. So next we've got some custom coronagraphs as we normally show on the channel. That's a 24-hour video. And let's get a little bit closer here and see if any of those are earthly directed. Could be some minor ejecta there, but considering the space weather that's on the way, that will be negligible. So it actually looks like there may be, I don't think that's going to be earthly directed. If it is, it's barely going to produce a signal, folks, so no big deal there. Here's 193 angstroms. And indeed, one of those CMEs did come from this region right in here. You can see definitely some plasma activity there. A coronal hole briefly opening up and then filling back in. Always interesting. And let's move on to filaments. So there are filaments for the past, what is it? It's the past about 24 hours there from Big Bear, California, and lots of filaments indeed. Lots of filaments, folks. So likelihood of coronal mass ejections in the earthly zone remains about 100%. We've got active sunspots, especially that active region in the southern hemisphere there, moving to the southwest. Sunspot 3500, very likely to produce large flares. And it continues to be very magnetically complex. Here's our grayscale imagery, which shows prominences as well as filaments. So these prominences over here, these are just filaments that are overhanging the edge of the solar disk. It is the same feature as this. It's all about perspective in a lot of things when it comes to astronomy, cosmology, heliophysics, etc. So there you go. If you want to name filaments after living people, join us over on Twitter, twitter.com/smashamash or x.com/smashamash. I guess it's less keystrokes. So join us over there, x.com/smashamash. Thanks to our 0 new followers in the past 24 hours. And before we get to bonus features, here are the past couple of hours from the GOES 18 SUVI. So that's the ionized helium going on, and let's move on to bonus features. First, satellite charging hazards. We ain't got none. It's smooth sailing at the moment. Satellites are clear for duty. No surface or internal charging. GOES electron flux here in a normal operating range. Coming up off the floor as has been forecasted. There's the 1-year graph to contextualize it. Again, a nominal level of electron flux at the moment. And there is the forecast model. Looks like NOAA must have watched our space weather video from yesterday because they lowered their forecast. So that looks a little bit closer to reality. I suspect the next uptick we'll have, the next update we have will be actually a little bit lower than their forecast, but not too far off because we're almost at the bottom with this incoming space weather. Keep in mind that is an erroneous forecast, an erroneous measurement during geomagnetic storm periods. Next, we'll show the F layer of the ionosphere, the layer that's the bridge between Earth and space. What can I say? It's at 300 kilometers of altitude. Here's the vibrational frequency in megahertz. As we bring the weather from space down to Earth, closer and closer and closer, until we're at the lower 48, talking about things like what's going on in the troposphere on planet Earth. Here's the anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. So that's what's going on at the bridge between Earth and space. Here's the latest image, 2300 universal time ionogram, 2315 universal time anomalygram. We also show the WAM, the whole atmosphere model. That's total electron content and anomaly on the left, maximum usable frequency and anomaly on the right. And things are looking quite normal. No geomagnetic storms. We also show total electron content, which is the free electrons in this run from 12,500 miles of altitude down to ground level. Here's the global view, which still looks like it's jacked up for over a month now, I think. Looking a little better, but still looking not right. Here's the anomaly from the 10-day average over North America, and this looks normal. So that's some better data for you North American viewers out there. For the rest of you, I don't know what to tell you. If I were running and calibrating the satellites, I would have some checks done. But that's the current situation for North America, and again, that looks legit. The total electron content anomaly from the 10-day average for North America. We'll close out space weather with the latest SDO intensitygram and latest magnetogram. Let's take a brief look at, oh, check it out. Take a brief look at this new sunspot. Man, that's looking beefy. That sunspot is looking beefy, folks. Check it out. Major magnetic shear there. It is a beta gamma delta class sunspot all day. So likelihood for X-class solar flares is certainly in effect. And let's move on to meteorology. So once again, we're delighted that people picked up and left comments about our laughing at the grand solar minimum yesterday, because they think the Beaufort Gyre is going to... See, here's what they think is going to happen. They think the Beaufort Gyre, which is this area here, is going to release a lot of fresh water, which is going to make it way over here and disrupt the Gulf Stream from keeping Europe warm. And then Europe is going to freeze, and then the whole northern hemisphere is going to freeze because reasons? They're in a cult. So it doesn't really matter what the reasons are. Since they are in a cult, they don't care what the reasons are or what the facts are. They're cultists. They believe nonsense. The Beaufort Gyre, I'm not spooked of it at all, though, even though the geologic record shows us that when Earth does glaciate, or I should say further glaciate, because we're currently living in an ice age. You know, an ice age when both poles are frozen all year round. Yeah, that's what we're currently living in. But people think it's going to get icier. Because reasons. They're trying to claim the sun is shutting down. It's just pathetic. But check it out, the world's largest waves right now. This depicts wave height and surface winds. We got 50 footers here west of Greenland, folks. So this major low pressure here in between Canada and Greenland is causing some major activity there. Probably not a great surf spot, but we've got 48-foot waves out there. And what happens here is this water just sloughs up over the top of all this ice and just makes just more ice and more ice and more ice form on top of there. It doesn't have anything to do with the multi-decadal circulation or anything like that. It's just the freezing of the North Pole. So, yeah. I mean, cultists are amazing because cultists will tell you that anything that happens, no matter how ridiculous it is, supports their theory, no matter how ridiculous it is. Or I should say hypothesis, if it even qualifies as a hypothesis. And so, yeah, let's get to our regularly scheduled meteorology segment here because, again, those are the world's largest waves. I mean, we got some big ones here south of the Aleutians as well, but there are no 50-footers any place besides west of Greenland right now. So that is an exciting spot to watch if you are into stormy seas. And here come the regular, everyday weather portions of the video. Grand solar minimum. Laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh at the grand solar minimum because it is a cult at this point, and it is truly pathetic that anybody is still chanting grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum. Please send us a copy of the hymnal if you've got the hymnal for the grand solar minimum cult church. These are the surface winds of the east. These are the jet streams. Jet streams of the central world, shown here. Surface winds, shown here. Surface winds to the west. There you go. Jet stream to the west. Right there. And let's move on to clouds and fog over the Americas. There you go. Brazil clouding up once again after sunset, as it does every day. I guess all spring. I don't know. But there you go. That's clouds and fog over the Western world. Here's a close-up of the Gulf, since there's been some weather moving across East Texas. There's a low just moving into the Texas stovepipe. Right about here is where that low is located. And here you can see it on the windy.com map. Actually, it's in western Oklahoma at the moment. Looks like a fast mover, perhaps. There is that low pressure system just northwest of Oklahoma City. Next, our weather.gov map. Weather.gov is where to get your weather alerts if your location is lit. Weather.gov, the homepage of the National Weather Service. Hawaii's got some major alerts there. What's up with that? Some flash flood warnings there on portions of Hawaii. Weather.gov, again, if your location is lit, click it. We've got some winter storm warnings there on the map. And here come some forecasts. Forecasts which are not crap from Tropical Tidbits, tropicaltidbits.com. Get your forecast there. Shout out to Dr. Levi Cohen. So here is our GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast. Some heavy snow and rain coming to Washington and Oregon. Here is the total accumulated precipitation forecast, total accumulated snow forecast in inches. Positive snow depth change. Major snow here coming in the next 3 days, especially west of the Rockies. Dag. Some areas there expecting nearly 2 feet of snow to kick off December. Next, our wind forecast. That's wind and pressure for the surface. So mean sea level pressure and 10-meter wind kit. In knots. Wind in knots, folks. And sea level pressure. That's where the wind will be happening. We will have some sporadic wind in portions of the country there. Last but not least, the jet stream, the force responsible for moving most weather from west to east. So we're going to have a strengthening of the jet stream over the eastern U.S. here. And it's going to be pulling some warm air up into places like New England. And let's move on to lightning. So there is a lightning mapper. That is like 10 hours. And we do have some active cells here in places like Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas at the moment. And there are the active strikes for the past hour. Things are pretty calm there, about 40 strikes per minute in that little area. There we go. A little lull in activity there. One strike coming in Oklahoma while we create the video. There come a few more strikes. There's the full global map from lightningmaps.org. We'll close out the video with Doppler radar, clouds and fog, and let's don't forget water vapor. So there is vertical motion of the air column for the full 50 state view. There is the Doppler radar for the 48 state view. The lower 48, there is the clouds and fog view, the shortwave radiation map, and there is the water vapor map. Some major pressure gradients there forming over places like Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and moving into Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, etc. Here's your recap. U.S. Doppler radar, ground-based systems which show vertical motion in the air column. Shortwave radiation map, part of the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite, space-based systems that show infrared radiation in 3.9 micrometers, depicting clouds and fog even at night. And there is the water vapor map That'll clear up your Doppler if it is unclear, and let me make it clear. Since I'm very spooked of space, part of my sarcasm, I'm going back to the bunker because, well, it's well stocked because lots of people gave me erroneous and ridiculous advice over the past few years to be frightened of things that are not scary in any way. Anyway, see you soon from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash. May that solar wind be at your back, and I'm going back to the bunker again. All the stupid stuff I heard encouraged me to climb in.